This engine is super clean. Look here, you can see I've cleaned it all up, but look, it's got corrosion, it's got bolts that are rusty, it's got some rust on the cylinder head, and there's little spots of corrosion here and there. So this is going to be like super extreme detailing on this particular engine because I want to make it look really nice. And what are all the little tricks I'm going to use to get this engine looking nice and to get rid of some of those ugly corrosion and rust spots inside the engine. We'll also be doing some maintenance on the top end of the engine, which I think you'll find interesting. It's clean. I mean, it's really clean. There's no oil, but it doesn't look that attractive because there's all these little flaws. And I found with any detailing, it's in the details. You get the pun? You go around and you clean up every single thing that your eye catches. And eventually, when you're done, you're going to go, wow, that looks like brand new, even though it's not brand new. It's really, you're fooling your eye. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate in this series of videos on this 240D. I'm going to show you some good before pictures, and then I'll take you through the process. We'll do some fast motion on the camera so you don't have to see every single thing I do, but you'll get a good feel for what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. First off, you'll notice I've removed the hood. You know, this is not a W123 chassis. The hood does not go up vertical. On these old 114 and 115s, the hood's about like this. So you can imagine all the work that I'm going to be doing in here is kind of a pain with that hood in the way. And I know you're thinking, well, it's a lot of work to take the hood off. No, it's not. Not when you consider how much time you will save when you do this type of work. Now, just a quick pointer, okay? When you do take the hood off, always, and I'm going to repeat, always use a helper. Never try to remove one of these hoods yourself. The most critical part are the corners. When they drop, they're going to hit right here on this cowling or on the outer part of this fender, and you're going to end up with some dents and some rather gouged paint. So as a safety precaution, get a couple pieces of dense foam like this and shove underneath the two corners of the hood. And then start loosening up the bolts, get all the bolts loose, take all but one out on each side, and then get your helper to get on one side, you get on the other side, and then lift the hood free and clear. And put it in a safe place, by the way. First off, you'll notice I've removed the hood. You know, this is not a W123 chassis. The hood does not go up vertical. On these old 114 and 115s, the hood's about like this. So you can imagine all the work that I'm going to be doing in here is kind of a pain with that hood in the way. And I know you're thinking, well, it's a lot of work to take the hood off. No, it's not. Not when you consider how much time you will save when you do this type of work. Now, just a quick pointer, okay? When you do take the hood off, always, and I'm going to repeat, always use a helper. Never try to remove one of these hoods yourself. The most critical part are the corners. When they drop, they're going to hit right here on this cowling or on the outer part of this fender, and you're going to end up with some dents and some rather gouged paint. So as a safety precaution, get a couple pieces of dense foam like this and shove underneath the two corners of the hood. And then start loosening up the bolts, get all the bolts loose, take all but one out on each side, and then get your helper to get on one side, you get on the other side, and then lift the hood free and clear. And put it in a safe place, by the way, so it doesn't get beat up while you're doing all this work. So what I'm going to have to do to begin is I'm going to have to remove the fuel injectors and the glow plugs so I get good access in and around this engine. Yes, the fuel injectors are rusty and the glow plugs are rusty, and there's a lot of corrosion on the valve cover. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the valve cover and do a valve adjustment. So while I'm doing all this detailing, I'm basically going to remove the fuel injectors, put them on the bench tester, test them. If they're not okay, I'll rebuild them. I'm going to install the fast glow upgrades on this so I don't have to worry about cleaning up those rusty glow plugs. Then I can get down in here and do some real nice painting. Of course, I'm going to have to do this by hand with a brush. And the same over here on the front of the engine. I'll probably take some of the coolant out of the engine, and we're going to paint the front of the engine here. And you look over here, we've got the brake booster and the master cylinder. We'll do some touch up on that, cleaning off this brass valve assembly, cleaning all the hoses. We've got various fasteners you can see here that are rusty. And those are going to be treated and coated with a special sealant. We're going to begin now by removing these fuel injectors and glow plugs. When I tackle a job like this, let's say takes more than about a half a dozen tools, I prefer to take this rolling tray of mine, roll it right up to the toolbox, and load all the tools on that I'm going to need. I just kind of mentally go through the job in my mind because it saves time of constantly going back and forth to the toolbox. Well, you can see it's going to take quite a few tools to do this. I've got, you know, some standard wrenches and sockets, but I also have some specialty tools here. Now, I'm not going to narrate this. You'll just get to watch, and we'll kind of speed this up as I go through the process of removing the fuel injectors and the glow plugs. Right now, before I do anything else, I'm going to take a good close look at these glow plugs as well as the injectors to give me an idea of anything that's going wrong inside the engine. These glow plugs look pretty normal. There's no excessive oil. You don't have a lot of deforming on these wires. So I'm just keeping them in order while I inspect them. I see nothing abnormal here. But while I'm at it, I think I'll go ahead and just ream out the carbon in the pre-chambers. We have a special reamer that we make right here in my shop. We're going to stick this reamer in and see if we get, yeah, we're getting a little bit of carbon. I can feel it. Now, if it's real bad, what I'll do is I'll take and put a little grease on the flutes of this reamer. Okay, it's binding up in there. I think we'll go ahead and back this back out. Okay, see, you can see the carbon I'm picking up. So I think what I'll do, I'll wipe this off, and I'm going to put some grease on there. So any excessive carbon will be picked up by the grease. I'm just using a little synthetic grease here. Just wipe it into the flutes of the reamer. Okay, let's go back in here. All right, see it's binding up a little bit. You have to be careful, don't force it. If you're having to put a lot of torque on the wrench, there's something wrong. You just want to lightly tighten this down until it goes down and stops, and then you're done. I can see the reamer down in the pre-chamber. Okay, let's take the reamer out. See how much carbon we got here. That's not too bad. Go ahead and put it into number 3 here. If you can turn it all the way in by hand, then that's a good indication that your engine's not been burning a lot of oil, because it's usually excess oil burning that causes the pre-chambers to coke up excessively. It can also happen with an extremely rich mixture, but I found the excess oil in the cylinders tends to cause the buildup more than anything else. Okay, number 3 looks okay. I'll go ahead and do number 1 and number 2, put a little more synthetic grease on there. We'll do these front 2, and then we're going to come back and we'll take a close look at those fuel injectors. I thought I'd show you the results from number 2 cylinder. It had quite a bit more carbon, so I wanted you to see this. You can see the buildup of the carbon between the flutes. You see the advantage of using the synthetic grease when using this reamer, but this is a really good idea to do this. Anytime you have your glow plugs out, I highly recommend you ream out the carbon. We're very proud of this tool that we make here right in our own shop. I think I'm ready to really start detailing the engine compartment in this 240D. Yesterday I removed the air filter assembly. That's going to give me better access to that inner fender panel over on that side. I removed the fan shroud and the fan. That's going to give me better access in here to the front of the engine. I loosened up this fuel filter and set it off to the side because I'm going to be painting the engine block. That's going to be fun. You know, we're going to do that in the next few days, so you'll get to see some of that next week. And of course, getting the battery out of the way is going to give me access right in here as we tackle cleaning up and painting the booster and the master cylinder and getting down in here and detailing a lot of the corrosion that you have seen on this engine.